A neighborhood in mourning. Human remains found in the ashes of a burned out building in Brampton. Identified today as a family of 3. Good evening. New details today following the grim discovery made last week. Members of the Voyeurism family, father, mother, and teenage daughter have been identified as the victims uncovered at the site of the massive blaze. CTV Sean Leithong is reporting live from the scene in Brampton and brings us the latest. Sean.
Well, Zarada and Nathan, it was over a week ago when this neighborhood was literally shaken with an explosion, finding out just 1 week ago that they had found human remains in the rubble behind me. And then their worst fears realized today that the entire family, a family of 3, has died. 1:30 p.m. Thursday, March 7th, an explosion rocks this Brampton neighborhood. People spilling out of their homes to find flames covering a house. Today, police confirming the fire killed an entire family. 51-year-old Rajiv Wairiku, his wife, 47-year-old Shilpa Kota, and their 16-year-old daughter, Mahik Wairiku. Today, neighbors who knew them too distraught to speak.
I'm sorry.
From where the fire raged over a week ago, today is nothing but ashes. A single bouquet of flowers hanging on the fence. Small signs of the lives once lived scattered among the debris. Neighbors remembering the family as having lived on the street for 15 years, times when their kids played in the street.
They were a good family, and I don't know where are they now.
Rajiv Wairiku was an auxiliary officer with Toronto Police until 2016 and is listed as a regional director in the Solicitor General's office in 2022. Peel Police investigating the origins of the explosion and fire.
At this time, we are investigating this with our Homicide Bureau, and we are deeming this as suspicious, as the Ontario Fire Marshal has deemed that this fire was not accidental.
Police have made the distinction that this has not been classified as a homicide. Today, many neighbors saying they heard the initial blast.
It was an explosion.
Dennis Daigle was outside cleaning his car several blocks away.
When I heard the boom, I looked up and all I heard was, I just seen a ball of fire. A big ball of smoke, and within a minute, and then you start hearing fire departments coming down.
Now many are left with questions as to what went wrong and who did this.
Just absolutely devastating. It's not too often you see a house that explodes.
Accidents don't happen like that. Something's wrong here in Brampton.
The Ontario Fire Marshal's office saying that they've concluded their investigation at the site, but have not yet determined the exact cause of the fire. And as this neighborhood is now in mourning, their focus shifts to the largest question: why has this happened? Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. I'll send it back to the desk.
Thank you, Sean. In Toronto's East End, a pro-Palestinian protest is gathering this hour in front of a hotel on King Street. Organizers say the rally is meant to disrupt a visit from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He's attending a Liberal fundraising event. CTV's Siobhan Morris has been following this story and joins us live with all the details. Siobhan.
Well, there are dozens of protesters here now. They've been gathering over the last half hour or so. I'll get out of the way so you can see what we're looking at right now. We do have demonstrators down King Street. The thing is, they're being held back quite a distance from the hotel itself. Police say they've created a safe zone in front of the hotel. This is the hotel where we're expecting Justin Trudeau to appear around 7:30 for a fundraising event, as you mentioned. So the police creating this zone where demonstrators cannot get close to. We did talk to one of the demonstrators about what they're trying to accomplish here tonight, and here's more of what they had to say.
Here to call for an immediate arms embargo. We know that Justin Trudeau is going to be here this evening at a $1,700 a plate fundraising event, and we're here to raise awareness over the fact that he still is not called for an arms embargo, not called for a meaningful ceasefire, and yeah, that's what we're here to do. I'm concerned about how far they're going to push out protesters away from this. I'm concerned that Justin Trudeau is not going to be able to hear what everyone has to say. And I'm concerned that this is an overreaction from what the past couple of events that the police have not shown up well.
Well, there were some tense moments earlier when police said that anybody who didn't get out of the secure zone would be arrested. And ultimately, there were no arrests. And you can see there are these barricades now holding demonstrators back. We are expecting Justin Trudeau to arrive sometime after 7 o'clock. That fundraising dinner is starting around 7:30. Reporting live, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Sarita, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. No injuries reported following a fire at a fast food restaurant in South Etobicoke. It happened last night at Miro's Hot Chicken, which is located on the main floor of a condo building on Marine Parade Drive. The windows and doors of the restaurant were blown out and shattered glass covered the sidewalk.
We're still in the preliminary stages of the investigation, so we're going to end up going through all of the material that's inside of this restaurant here to determine exactly what caused the explosion.
The Office of the Fire Marshal has taken over the investigation, working alongside forensics investigators with Toronto Police.
In the East End, 4 people have been rescued by firefighters following a 2-alarm fire in Scarborough. Crews were called to a home on Sunmount Road near Birchmount and the 401 at around 3:30 in the morning. When they arrived, they found heavy smoke and flames coming from the back of the house. 2 people were taken to hospital with minor injuries.
We'll have more news in a moment. Here's a live look right now at the Toronto skyline. We didn't see a whole lot of sunshine today, but not a lot of rain as well, which is good news. Jessica Smith is here now with a look at our current conditions. Another mild end to the week, Jess.
We've had this above seasonal trend really going on since the beginning of the winter season. It will carry us through almost right through to the beginning of the astronomical spring season. But for now, it is dry. We're looking at just a few clouds out there, but it will clear as we head into at least the overnight and the day tomorrow. A northerly wind at about 20 kilometers an hour has it feeling a little cooler out there. We're still in the double digits for the most part, through Hamilton, through Niagara, out towards Kingston, Ottawa, but it is cooler along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Over towards the island in Pearson right now, still relatively mild, sitting between 9 and about 8 degrees. That northerly flow to the wind adding that freshness. Tonight we have a wind chill for the first time in a while. It'll feel like -3. No, it's not cold, but it is colder than it has been as of late. Coming up, I'll have your full forecast right now. It's back over to Zoraida.
Thank you, Jessica. As the ongoing affordability crisis continues, rents are skyrocketing in many Canadian cities. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was in Toronto today. Singh is pushing for the Liberals to include a national rental protection fund in their upcoming budget.
In the city of Toronto, the amount of evictions, the percentage of people getting evictions has increased by over 70%. Eviction notices are going up because corporate landlords are looking at these buildings and seeing dollar signs. For every 1 affordable home that's built in Canada, 11 are being lost. So what we have to do is save these homes.
The fund would be used to help nonprofits buy affordable housing when it's on the market. It's part of an effort to fight so-called renovictions. That's when a tenant is served an eviction notice so property owners can renovate the building, but then typically repost units at a higher rental price.
Today is the deadline for Toronto property owners to make their vacant home tax declarations. The tax is designed to boost housing supply by deterring owners from leaving residential properties vacant and encouraging them to rent or sell instead. Homeowners can make their declarations online or in paper form. The original deadline was February 29th, but it was extended an additional 2 weeks to accept late submissions.
Meanwhile, Toronto is considering city parking lots as it tries to find more land to address the housing shortage. A proposal will be brought before council later this month, which would direct staff to look at city-owned lots that could be converted to housing. Toronto owns 300 parking lots. 130 of them have been deemed suitable for homes. The 64 near transit hubs would be the first ones considered. The idea has been introduced before, but was opposed by businesses, homeowners, and drivers.
To Hamilton now, where McMaster University and the city are cracking down on student parties. The city has a court order to prevent what's called nuisance parties, with St. Patrick's Day coming up on Sunday. It applies to off-campus student neighborhoods between Osler Drive and the 403, east of Main Street. The court order is in effect until midnight on Monday. The city already has a bylaw that prohibits disorderly conduct and public drunkenness, and police are authorized to enforce the bylaw. McMaster students are being warned there will be zero tolerance for student St. Patrick's Day parties.
I think that they're trying to scare students away from partying, and I understand that there is real reason behind that in the community, where if you're a single family and you're living in this area, of course there's going to be a lot of partying and there's college students, but then at the same time, this is a college neighborhood. You're right next to McMaster, 500 meters away, so I feel like if you're moving into this area, you should be prepared for what's going to go on, and you can't really blame the students who are of age and drinking on their own properties and having parties in their own places.
I think we're just going to keep it small, enjoy it to ourselves, maybe see what people are up to, and just have a nice time and a good holiday.
The city of Hamilton says if charged, a host, property owner, or attendee can face up to $10,000 for a first offense and $25,000 for any subsequent offense related to a nuisance party.
To an update now on a cyber attack impacting data on the City of Hamilton computers. Mayor Andrea Horvath says the breach has been contained. The city is now rebuilding its computer systems, and officials say they do not believe personal information has been compromised.
I do have something to share with you, which is that Hamiltonians need to know that the City of Hamilton has not paid a ransom. So that's a question that keeps coming up, and I just want to let folks know that that's not the case. We have not paid a ransom. And I'm sure that you can all appreciate, however, that we can't get into a lot of detail about that at this moment in time, but I thought it was important to let folks know that that's the case.
For some services, we had to move to do things old school, and we shifted to do some manual operations and to continue delivering services to the public. And we continue to adjust and refine our service delivery. Now we are restoring and rebuilding our systems and processes, and this work will include testing and confirming any systems that we bring online can do so safely.
The City of Hamilton was hit by the cyber attack 3 weeks ago.
A warning for U of T students. It's about a person allegedly sneaking into washrooms in a women's residence and possibly taking photos of women changing. Police say female students went into the washroom in the Wilson Hall residence and were changing and using the shower when they noticed a cell phone being held over the shower curtain. They say it looked like a person was taking pictures and then fled. The warning was issued this morning. Police say they don't have a description of a suspect yet. On the ground in the Middle East, the first ship using a new sea route has arrived at the Gaza Strip with 200 tons of aid.
And as CTV's Heather Wright reports, officials say this was a mission to help alleviate the humanitarian crisis in the enclave.
The first Friday prayers of Ramadan were held today in Gaza. Prayers amidst the rubble. A push to secure a ceasefire before the start of the Muslim Holy Month fell short, and while negotiations continue, both sides have rejected recent proposals brought forward by the other. Most recently, Israel said the latest terms presented by Hamas are unrealistic, which reportedly include a permanent ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. As fighting continues, more aid arrived today, this time towed to shore by a ship. In the north, where food is the most scarce and dangerous to deliver, some, like Ibrahim Ahmed Deeb and his family, have decided to flee. Hunger is killing us, he says. I am leaving the north because there is nothing available. No food, no drinks. In Israel, families of those being held hostage blocked traffic today, protesting outside a meeting of Israel's war cabinet, demanding the government reach a deal for a ceasefire that will bring their loved ones home.
We are here today to remind the war cabinet, the wider cabinet, and the Israeli government their ultimate obligation to bring the hostages back now. It's been 161 days, and literally they neglected their duty.
Here in Toronto, preparations are already underway for a pro-Palestinian protest planned for later this afternoon. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is set to attend a Liberal fundraising event here at the King Edward Hotel, and security is tight. This comes less than 2 weeks after protests canceled a planned event between Trudeau and Italy's leader over security concerns. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A multi-faith service will be held on Sunday for members of a family killed in an Ottawa suburb. The public funeral will take place at a convention center for Darshani Ekanayaka and her 4 children. The Sri Lankan nationals and a family friend died following an attack at a home in Barhaven last week. And Ekanayaka's husband and the children's father is recovering from his injuries. A 19-year-old international student who was living with the family has been charged in connection with their murders.
There are more details about next Saturday's state funeral for former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. The service at Montreal's Notre Dame Basilica will begin at 11 a.m. Mulroney's daughter, Caroline, will give a eulogy, along with former U.S. Secretary of State James Baker and former Quebec Premier Jean Charest. Also offering eulogies will be Prime Minister Trudeau, Wayne Gretzky, and Pierre-Carl Pelado. Tributes are expected to begin Monday in the House of Commons. Starting Tuesday, Mulroney's casket will lie in state for 2 days at the Sir John A. Macdonald Building. Public visitation is scheduled for Thursday and Friday at St. Patrick's Basilica.
The Prime Minister has rejected Quebec's request for full control over immigration in the province. Instead, Trudeau says he is more interested in collaboration rather than discussing jurisdiction.
We're all about rolling up our sleeves and working with the provincial government to solve some of these challenges here in Quebec, but right across the country as well.
Justin Trudeau met with Premier François Legault in Montreal today. Quebec says it is nearing a crisis. Capacity has been exceeded, and it can no longer provide public services to new arrivals. There is also the language issue.
Quebec is a nation, and when you have 528,000 people coming to Quebec with 30% and more not speaking French, many of them in Montreal, it has an impact, a clear impact in the percentage of Francophone, especially in Montreal.
Legault says Quebec will study all its options to reduce the number of asylum seekers and temporary foreign workers in its province. This is not the first time Quebec has asked for full control over immigration.
In Ukraine, at least 14 people were killed in an attack on Odessa. And at least 53 others were wounded in the missile strike in the southern city. At least 10 homes and some emergency service equipment were damaged. The regional governor announced that a day of mourning in Odessa would be held tomorrow. It's the second such observance in the last 2 weeks.
Russians have begun 3 days of voting in their presidential election. Ballots are being cast through Sunday at polling stations across 11 time zones, as well as an illegally annexed regions of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is running virtually unchallenged and is poised to secure 6 more years in power. He has maintained a ruthless crackdown that has included independent media and prominent rights groups.
The election interference case against Donald Trump in Georgia will proceed. Special prosecutor Nathan Wade formally withdrew from the case today. That's after the judge ruled that either he step aside or Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis pull out. If neither did, the case would end. The pair had admitted to a romantic relationship. Lawyers for the former U.S. president argued that represented a conflict of interest.
Clogged pipes are to blame after a large hole opened up in New Jersey today. It happened in the community of Mullica Hill. A small private road was washed out when the water pressure became too great and it blew out the embankment. Over time, the pipes had become blocked, allowing water to build up on one side of the embankment. There were no injuries or any property damage, but water service and power was out for a period of time.
A ginormous blueberry is the newest entry into the Guinness World Records. It's about the size of a ping pong ball and weighs just over 20 grams. That makes this the heaviest blueberry on record. It's from the Eterna variety, which is known for its large fruit size. The blueberry was picked in Australia in November, and we're told there are about 20 others the same size.
Costumes, collectibles, and pop culture. Superheroes have descended on Toronto as Comicon takes over this weekend.
It's the ultimate playground for sci-fi, comic, and gaming enthusiasts. And today is the start of the fan favorite event. CTV's Mike Walker standing by live at the Metro Toronto Convention Center to give us the sights and sounds. And Mike, I'm guessing you're dressed up as reporter number 2.
Reporter number 2, Clark Kent. How about Bruce Wayne? No? Okay. Well, this is all about cosplay. It's a big part of the Comicon event that draws thousands of fans to celebrate all things pop culture, including the art, the comic books, and of course the characters. Flipping over for Comicon.
I just like dressing up and being around all the people.
The annual sci-fi, anime, and gaming event attracting thousands and a huge crowd of characters from the classics to the gaming world.
Today I'm Wolf O'Donnell from Star Fox and Super Smash Bros.
And he's made it all by hand.
It's all homemade from paper mache and thrifted clothing.
How long did it take you to make this?
Each costume takes me about 6 months to make.
It's a family affair for the Gardners.
The fun of it is making things. I like making costumes and putting things together.
Just think it's amazing the creativity that people put into these costumes.
But today they are Gandalf and Frodo on a quest for unique artwork, and there's no shortage with comic book artists proudly showcasing their work, like Joe Quinones, who has worked on the Spider-Man and Batman series.
Most of the time I just work from home. Here I get to, actually make FaceTime with people who are, excited about the books that I make.
Speaking of The Dark Knight, we found him searching for the Man of Steel among the crates of comic books.
Well, listen, we're good friends, and this book, Superman for All Seasons, it's a great Superman book.
Among the most valuable comic books for sale, the Fantastic Four #1.
And it's for $20,000. Lots of the older Marvel characters, they appeared in that series. And this is from the 61.
Community is a big part of Comicon.
Just something kind of great about being amongst other fans.
Especially for cosplayers like Daniel, who is part of a Mandalorian cosplay group officially recognized by Lucasfilms.
It's really about collaboration with a lot of people. You build the set together, you put it together, you have people help out, make your armor, you get suggestions, advice. It's really makes a really nice community you can share being nerdy with.
And Citylin, who has been attending Comic-Con events for more than a decade.
Honestly, it's such a great creative expression. And also having so many people come up and be so happy about that piece of connection in terms of sharing the same love for the same media.
Always happy to pose for a picture. And there are several celebrity appearances planned for this 3-day event, including current cast members of the current Star Trek TV series. Organizers are anticipating more than 30,000 people to attend. Reporting live with Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Still ahead, the treacherous journey hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers make every year trying to reach the U.S. and Canada. We have a preview of the latest W5 investigation after the break.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, we know that computers can be hacked and phones can get hacked. But did you know that video doorbells can also get hacked? An investigation found criminals are able to gain access to some video doorbells quite easily. I'll have my reports just ahead.
And we will be taking another look at this growing pro-Palestinian demonstration unfolding downtown. That and more after the break.
And it's been a really mild start to the March break for so many, but as we head in towards the end of our weekend, we're going to get away from these double-digit daytime highs. So I guess enjoy the warmth we've had throughout the week because it is set to change. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Let's take you back live now to the King Edward Hotel on King Street, just east of Yonge. Police have cordoned off the hotel. This is in advance of a visit by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's go back to CTV's Siobhan Morris, who is monitoring this pro-Palestinian demonstration. Siobhan, what's the latest?
Well, right now we're near King and Church on the other side of this safe zone that police had created around the hotel, this area where the Prime Minister is supposed to be giving a speech in a little over an hour's time. Things have turned a little messy in the last little while. We saw some skirmishes happen, some pushing between police and protesters. A few arrests happened in the last few minutes as well, and now we've seen a mounted unit move in. So those police on horseback will be watching over this crowd over the next few hours or so. The demonstrators say that they're calling on the Prime Minister and the Canadian government to implement an arms embargo. They are worried, they say, that if they're kept too far away from the hotel, that the Prime Minister will not hear their message tonight, but they are determined to stay here to make sure that they are heard loud and clear. So again, the police have closed this area around the King Edward Hotel, pushed back, and we don't know if that closure area will continue to grow, but for now, there is this safe zone around in front of the hotel.
CTV's Siobhan Morris live downtown in front of the King Edward Hotel. Thank you, Siobhan. Well, if you have a video doorbell, you can see who is coming or going from your home and check if a package you're expecting has arrived.
It may seem hard to believe, but now some criminals are hacking into video doorbells so they can monitor your routine. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Zrida, many people buy video doorbells to keep their homes safe, but an investigation found some doorbells can be easily hacked, allowing criminals to snoop into your life. But there are ways to prevent it and protect yourself. This is an actual screenshot of a video doorbell accessed from almost 5,000 kilometers away. Outsiders are not supposed to be able to view the video, but the security was so poor that Consumer Reports researchers were able to get to it.
We were really surprised to find that anyone could walk up to one of these doorbells and take it over in a matter of seconds, and from there actually view screenshots of the doorbell.
Tests revealed a number of video doorbells have serious security flaws that could make users vulnerable to a security breach. They all use the same mobile app called Aiwit. Tech expert Mark Saltzman says it's an app that doesn't have great reviews.
Out of over 1,000 reviews, it had an average score of 1 star out of 5. So obviously, that's a big red flag.
The devices that use the app, Consumer Reports tested, are sold under the brand names Ekin and Tuck, but the doorbells are also sold under other brand names, including Fishbot, Rake Blue, Ando, Luckwolf, and more.
If someone is able to view your doorbell camera and see when you come and go, it presents a lot of security risks.
Experts blame the flood of cheap, insecure electronics from Chinese manufacturers as a growing problem.
We're seeing a lot of overseas manufacturers create these obscure, cheap, no-name products.
Saltzman says if you're buying a video doorbell, do your research.
If you go with a less expensive brand that does not offer encrypted video connections, then you are putting your data at risk.
Consumer Reports reached out to Ekin and Tuck but did not receive a response. If your video doorbell uses the Aiwit app and looks like models in this report, it's recommended you disconnect it and remove it. Researchers say video doorbells that offer much better security are brands from Logitech, Simply Safe, and Ring. And following this investigation, some retailers have decided to stop selling the video doorbells that can be easily hacked. When buying any security device, do your research to make sure you're making your home safer and not worse off. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, we're heading into the weekend, and I know it's not the long weekend, but it feels a bit like one because of St. Patrick's Day, this big parade on Sunday.
It is, and hopefully the weather's going to be nice. I mean, we're so used to mild weather now, Jess. I don't know.
It will be nice-ish. We're not going to be as warm as we have been throughout the week. We do get more seasonal as we head through the rest of our weekend, so just keep that in mind if you're heading to the parade. A layer or two, probably a good idea. The good news is we don't really see the big temperature drop until next week when spring officially starts. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. Now, we had a generally cloudy day with a few peaks of sunshine here and there, but generally mild. You know, we held on just briefly at 11 degrees, mostly at 10 throughout the afternoon. Right now, sitting at 8 here in the city of Toronto. Through Windsor sitting at 7, Ottawa at 9, Timmins at 4, even Geraldton. So we're holding on to relatively mild temperatures, even with a northerly flow to the wind as we head into the end of our day. We are going to be at -1 tonight, so it's a little fresh. We have a wind chill for the first time in a while. Still above seasonal, even when you factor in the wind chill, but just keep that in mind. I know it's a busy weekend. We have March break coming to a close, St. Patrick's Day festivities beginning. Just layer up if you're going to spend some time outside. Cool really right across the board. We're all kind of experiencing that little bit of a wind chill. Into the day tomorrow, though, back into the double digits. Enjoy it. It's the last time for a little while as we head into the next few days. A cooler trend settling in as we make our way in towards the official start, the astronomical start of the spring season on Tuesday. This snow right here, we're going to watch this kind of make its way across northern Ontario as we head throughout the day, the rest of our day today. And into the day tomorrow, it sinks its way south a little bit. So with that comes rain for us. Snow to the north. So the trade-off is at least it's warm enough that we stay with rain instead of snow. Heading through the rest of our evening is relatively clear if you're heading out this evening. Getting into the day tomorrow, a little cloud cover to start. The snow starts kind of making its way down through Lake Huron and Georgian Bay along those eastern shorelines. It starts off as snow, and we see just a few brief kind of waves of active weather late afternoon, early evening. A lot of that clears out as we head through midnight. And then getting into Sunday, the chance of it turning into some light flurry activity or wet snow is there because it's rotating over the Great Lakes. But we're really not looking at much, if anything, for us here in the downtown core. Likely more of a GTA story when it comes to any kind of active weather, but really not accumulating. Temperature-wise into Sunday, it will be cooler. So if you're going to the parade, layer up. It's not going to be freezing by any means, but we haven't seen a single-digit daytime high in a while. Getting in towards our Sunday night, a little chilly as well. Kicking off Monday, the chance of that mixing is going to linger as the system starts to move out before another one comes in and brings in the chance of flurries as we officially welcome in the spring season on Tuesday. And then after that, although it's cool, we get some sunshine. Sarita.
It's one of the most dangerous migrant routes in the world, the Darien Gap, a treacherous stretch of jungle that connects Colombia to Panama.
Over the 6 days it takes to make it to the other side, we wade through deep waters, over massive boulders, and scale steep rocks.
Can you imagine kids doing this?
The Darien is beginning to take its toll. More people are getting injured. This young man's name is Luigi. He's injured his leg badly in a fall.
Hundreds of thousands of desperate migrants brave the jungle every year trying to make their way to the U.S. and Canada. Avery Haynes and her W5 crew spent 6 days trekking the Darien Gap, documenting an unfolding humanitarian crisis. And Avery joins us live now to talk about the experience. Thank you for joining us, Avery. Most people may have never heard of the Darien Gap. How many migrants are using this route and where do they come from?
Yeah, the Darien Gap is the only land crossing between South America and Central America, as you mentioned, connecting Colombia to Panama. It is a rugged, treacherous journey through that jungle. And the numbers of people doing it are just staggering, Nathan. Over the last number of years, it's been doubling every year. 520,000 people risk their lives doing this trek, and they're expecting as many as 600,000 this year, mainly from Venezuela, a country that's seen one of the largest mass migrations in history. 8 million people have fled Venezuela because of the economic collapse there. You're watching what's unfolding in Haiti right now. There are a large number of Haitians, and increasingly people from China fleeing political persecution.
Well, now you spent, and the team, about a week in the jungle. What was it like?
It was harrowing. We were as prepared as we could have been, but the dangers that lurked in that jungle went beyond just the natural predators of snakes and scorpions and spiders and wild cats to the terrain, which was at times like scaling rocks and crossing rivers that are called Death River, and a mountain it's actually 2 mountains that they call Death Mountain. It's so steep, it's like climbing up a ladder for hours and hours and hours with cliffs on either side. And then there's the other dangers, which are the people who prey on the migrants, especially on the Panamanian side. So the level of rapes is huge, and the level of robbery and abduction is huge as well. So it was definitely a harrowing experience.
It sounds like it. What can you tell us about the people you met along this journey?
We tracked 3 separate families. One, music professors from Venezuela, and I met them at the very beginning. And because they have an 8-year-old son, they were traveling with their 4 children. One of them that they were carrying, an infant that they were carrying on their stomach. But this 8-year-old boy, Nathan, throughout this entire journey, carried a guitar on his back. And I watched this little guy almost submerged in water in areas with that guitar on his back, and kind of climbing like Spider-Man over rock cliffs with this guitar on his back. And then at one point, him breaking down, as any 8-year-old would, as many adults did, begging his parents to leave him there. We saw quite a number of people who didn't survive. They were injured and died on the trail. We followed a woman who was 8 months pregnant, who did the journey with her 2 young children. Her husband died on Death Mountain. And we came across as well 2 children, 2 young girls, 12 and 13 years old, who were separated from their mother and their grandmother, and they were alone in the jungle, a jungle that they were incredibly vulnerable to be in alone. And so we had to really convince them to come with us, knowing that if we left them there, anything could happen to them. So the stories, the individual stories, were incredibly, incredibly compelling.
Absolutely. Sad, compelling is another story that must be told. Thank you, Avery.
Thank you.
And Narco Jungle, the Darien Gap, airs Saturday at 7 on CTV. Avery also did a video diary from her hammock while in the jungle. You can find that on our website on Saturday, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Coming up, with eyes turning to the skies next month to catch sight of the solar eclipse, protective eyewear is selling out fast. We've got details after the break.
With excitement building for the April 8th solar eclipse, many are looking to buy protective glasses to watch the rare phenomenon.
But as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, many places are already sold out.
Ontario residents are planning their viewing spots for an astronomical rarity, a total solar eclipse on April 8th. Toronto will bear witness to a 99.6% coverage of the sun by the moon, but other areas will be even better.
St. Catharines or along the north shore of Lake Erie, that area has some of the longest totality. It's right near the central path of the eclipse. So that's one of the best places to go. Kingston is good as well.
But protective glasses are essential to avoid eye damage from looking at the sun.
Solar retinopathy is a damage to the back of the eye. It's essentially like burning tissue.
That damage can be severe and permanent.
The problem is the back of the eye has no pain. So people do not feel pain, so they'll just keep looking at it.
So we have been selling these solar eclipse glasses on our website up until recently. We are out of stock online now.
But the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada will be making a few available for in-person purchase.
We will be selling them starting on March 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., running through to March 28th, and then again the following week.
If you can't get a hold of proper glasses for eclipse viewing, you can still experience it by viewing it indirectly using your phone or a pinhole camera.
There's instructions online to do that. It essentially just makes a little projection of the sun on the back of the box.
And whether you have proper glasses or indirect viewing, Heinz encourages you to try and catch the eclipse.
The next time it'll see totality is in 2144, so it's over 100 years away.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
An actor and a retired Navy admiral getting $50 million each from Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Eva Longoria and Bill McCraven are the 2024 recipients of the Bezos Courage and Civility Award. It recognizes people who try to find solutions to complicated problems and promote politeness. Longoria is going to use the money to help small business owners in Latino communities. McCraven says his $50 million will go to help veterans and their families.
The Toronto St. Patrick's Parade will take place this Sunday. The parade starts at St. George and Bloor at noon, and then it runs across Bloor Street before turning down Yonge and finishing off at Yonge and Dundas at about 1:30 p.m. More than 5,000 participants will march in the parade route. Most of them do each year. This year's Grand Marshal is former Leafs GM and current Executive Director of the PWHL, Brian Burke. There will be road closures along the route.
On the next CP24 Breakfast, Princess Peach is getting her own game on the Nintendo Switch, and we're celebrating with a special guest and a giveaway. CP24 Breakfast up first at 5:30.
They were a good family, and I don't know where are they now.
Updating our top stories, 3 family members have been identified by police as the people whose remains were found at the site of a massive fire in Brampton last week. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office says they've concluded their investigation, but have not yet determined the exact cause of the fire.
We're here to call for an immediate arms embargo. We know that Justin Trudeau is going to be here this evening at a $1,700 a plate fundraising event, and we're here to raise awareness.
A massive pro-Palestinian protest continues to unfold outside of a hotel on King Street. Organizers saying the demonstration is meant to disrupt a visit from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He is attending a Liberal fundraising event set to begin later this evening.
Let's go live to CTV's Siobhan Morris, who's standing by live near the King Eddie Hotel. Quite a large presence there, Siobhan.
Now we're looking at a couple hundred people, at least on this side of the barricades. Remember that police have set up 2 of these zones. We'll take a look at one of them here. So they've created what they're calling a safe zone about a couple hundred meters in front of the hotel. So that's pushed demonstrators to either side of the King Edward Hotel. This is where we're expecting Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to appear for a fundraising dinner sometime in the next hour or so. This is an event that people here say anybody who shows up, it shows that they are complicit in what they see as being a genocide in Gaza. They are calling upon Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the federal government to sign an arms embargo to not be complicit, they say, again, in the killing in Gaza. We know the Prime Minister's event is about $1,700 a plate. This is an event intended for Liberals to discuss ways to help drive down the cost of living, make life more affordable. But outside, of course, demonstrators are hoping that the Prime Minister will hear their message about the ongoing war in Gaza. I'll send it back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Siobhan. CTV Siobhan Morris covering that protest on King between Young and Church.
And remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
TikTok could be facing an uncertain future in Canada as the U.S. took steps this week to ban the social media service. Amber Canwar, BNN Bloomberg, has the details.
Canada is conducting its own national security view of the Chinese-owned TikTok. Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne told reporters that they've launched a national security review of TikTok and that once it is completed, he'll inform Canadians about any actions that the government decides to take. Earlier this week, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to force TikTok to divest its U.S. business or face a ban. However, the Senate is unlikely to hold a vote on that anytime soon. Shares of Adobe dropped by the most in 2 years. The owner of Photoshop has been riding a wave of enthusiasm for artificial intelligence. Its latest offering, Firefly, allows users to generate images simply by typing what they would like to see. However, there is competition coming from rivals like OpenAI. Adobe fell nearly 14% today on concerns that their growth outlook doesn't reflect the benefits of artificial intelligence. A top shareholder of Gildan is accusing the company's board of acting in a, quote, desperate and erratic manner. It's just the latest in the war of words at the plain t-shirt maker as a fight about who should lead the company continues to brew. In December, Gildan fired its founder and CEO, causing the stock to drop. Browning West, which is leading the charge to reinstate the former CEO, says they're confident they have the votes to do so at the upcoming shareholder meeting in May. Now let's take a look at the closing market numbers. The Canadian dollar held in just below 74 cents U.S., while U.S. oil prices were down only modestly, still around $80 per barrel. Canadian oil prices were up to around $65 per barrel, and it was an up day on the TSX, adding about 20 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Amber Canwar in the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
McDonald's apologized today for a global outage that shut down some restaurants for hours. Locations in a number of countries were affected. The company says the incident was caused by a third-party technology provider and was not a cybersecurity issue. It started at about 1 a.m. during a configuration change and was close to being resolved about 12 hours later.
Raptors star R.J. Barrett is mourning the death of his younger brother. Barrett will not be on the court tonight when the team takes on the Orlando Magic. The Raptors and Canada Basketball shared a statement from the family saying Nathan Barrett died Tuesday, surrounded by his family, church, and friends. R.J. and Nathan's father, Rowan Barrett, is Canada Basketball's general manager. The cause of death has not been released.
The Toronto Blue Jays are going to be without Danny Jansen for a bit. The catcher has a fractured bone in his right wrist. The 28-year-old was hit by a fastball during Wednesday's game against the Pirates. The team says Jansen is unlikely for the March 28th opener at Tampa Bay. It's hoped that he will be back sometime during the first couple of weeks during the season.
Doug Armstrong's been named general manager for Canada's men's hockey team at the 2026 Olympics. The St. Louis Blues executive was chosen by Hockey Canada. Armstrong won 2 Olympic golds in 2010 and 2014 as a member of Canada's executive team. The Games in Italy will be the first Olympics with NHL participation since 2014.
Tonight, an unbelievable moment on the tennis court.
He's being attacked. He's not liking that, is he? No.
The lengthy, unwelcome interruption that had everyone buzzing. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special what's up to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Mounted police officers and fence barricades have been brought in as pro-Palestinian protesters converge at the King Edward Hotel. There's a live look where the Prime Minister is scheduled to be tonight. We will continue our coverage on CP24 online, and we'll have a full report tonight at 11:30.
Switching gears now, and there is a baby boom at a couple of UK zoos. A rare Rothschild's giraffe has been born at the Chester Zoo. It arrived this week, weighing 70 kilograms. The calf was wobbly on its legs at first, but soon gained its footing. There are only about 2,500 Rothschild's giraffes in the wild. They are considered one of the world's most at-risk mammals.
Meanwhile, the UK's largest zoo has released video of its newest resident. This southern white rhino was born March 7th to a first-time mom and staff at the zoo in Whipsnade, England. And they're thrilled with the new addition. They say mother and calf are both healthy, resting, and bonding. The youngster was born as part of an endangered species breeding program. Nice to see.
We could just watch baby animals all
Right?
day. You know, they're
It's the
so
best.
cute.
So what a great way to end the show, right? And hopefully the forecast is some good news too. It is cooler outside, and as we head in towards our evening, it is going to get a little chilly. We have a wind chill for the first time in a while as we head through the overnight, but overall, it's all right. Right now, we're sitting still at 8 degrees here in the city, 10 in Niagara, 7 in Windsor, and 9 out in Peterborough. I know people are still really busy with March break activities heading into the weekend. We've got St. Patrick's Day on Sunday. If you're heading out tomorrow, though, it's relatively comfortable. We don't reach our high until later on in the day, but as we do, it also comes with a chance of a little rain. At least it is a southerly wind, so it's warm, but it is gusty as we head into the second half of our day tomorrow. Looking ahead to Sunday, it gets a little cooler, but hey, that's spring.
Thanks, Jess. And be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you at 11:30.